I'm Kelly and this is Kelly Hill Yoga, and today I have a super special sequence written, and I wrote this specifically for my local Southwest Virginia MOPS group, and that is Moms of Preschoolers. And I got to do this live the other night via Zoom with all the beautiful mamas in my group who wanted to participate, but I thought it would be super ultra mega awesome if I did my YouTube video this week with the same sequence. I have kind of condensed it down. We originally did an hour. I condensed it down because sometimes it's just really hard, especially in mom life, to devote an entire hour within your house without any little distractions or not having to do it at, say, 3 o'clock in the morning when everyone's sleeping. So I'm just super excited to do this. Anyone is welcome to do it. This is in all levels and really great for beginners because I'll talk through a lot of the postures and just where you're supposed to be in a kinesthetic awareness, and just hanging out with you and yourself, which is so important. And that's the reason why I really wrote this for that moms or MOPS group, is when you're just hanging out with little people all day long, sometimes you can get kind of detached from within yourself and a little too attached to everything else happening in the world. So when you're ready, grab a mat, maybe a pillow, couch cushions work, and a blanket. We're just going to keep things nice and gentle and then get into a little bit of movement and then bring it downstream again at the end. And like I said, I originally wrote this for a 1 hour practice when I did it the other night with my MOPS group, but I thought it was just super smart and would be awesome and a lot more practical if I kind of condensed it down a little bit, just in case you can't devote that full hour to yourself, which is so hard to do. So I will stop yakking. I know I've been talking for quite a bit. And when you're ready, just grab all that gear that I mentioned, pillow, blanket, blocks, whatever you need. And you don't even need a mat for this if you just do it in a nice comfy space, like on carpet, or if you just want to put a blanket down, that's okay too. So let's get started. So like I said, let's come to the mat to lay down, grab that first pillow. And even if you don't have a pillow, a blanket works really good. Just kind of roll it up like a little taco or burrito, and just have it hang out underneath the knees. That's where we're going to put the pillow. We're going to come to lay on our back. Just find a nice comfy position. Apologies while I adjust my mic really quick. So I'm not going to be in the way. And we'll just come to a nice comfy seat, gently tuck the shoulders, have both hands resting on the mat on either side. Close the eyes. Really feel supported by the pillow next to you or under, my apologies, under your knees. Start to focus on the breath. Keep it simple, keep it as natural as possible. Just inhale and exhale. Notice any little bits of movement that your body might be wanting to do. And if it does want to do that little bit of movement, just go ahead and wiggle it out. You know your body more than anyone else. Just explore that feeling, that sensation of needing release, and allow it to happen. Let's take a nice deep inhale. Really fill your lungs, expand with that inhale. Exhale, let go. Continue doing so with each inhale and exhale with as much purpose as possible. Just really expelling and releasing, letting go, any thoughts, schedule, practice, meeting, conversation that could be tugging you outside of this space right now. And if it is, briefly acknowledge it and exhale to send it on its way. If you're still having trouble trying to find that focus, just quietly tell yourself, whether that's through the mind or verbally, to inhale and exhale. Quiet your mind, quiet the body. Be comfortable with spending this time with yourself. Be comfortable in this stillness. Allow yourself to be here. Slowly start to find a little bit of movement. Let's take that pillow and remove it from underneath the knees. Just set it to the side. We will be coming back to it at the end of our practice. And let's just take a deep inhale. Reach the arms up and overhead and make yourself as long as possible. Really expanding yourself from the tip of the fingers all the way to the toes. Let me just move these blocks out of the way really quick. And then arms are up and overhead, nice and long. And we will take both hands and let's shift them over to the left as we gently cross the right ankle over the left for a nice stretch all along the right side body. Beautiful. Gently bring it back to center. Uncross those legs and switch it to the other side. So shift your torso, those arms, reach over to the right a little as we cross the left foot over the right. Nice and long in that left side body. Just kind of waken things up. Awesome. Gently come back to center. Uncross those legs. Let's bring the knees into the chest. Nice and slow. Hug the knees to the chest. Wrapping your arms around if you'd like. Or if you want, you can just have the hands gently on the kneecaps, pulling everything towards your chest. Feel almost like that pressure, a little bit of pressure on your belly. Really, that pushes your low back into the ground. Feel nice and grounded and heavy. Now let's gently lift the forehead to meet the knees and curl yourself up into this little ball. Exhale, release. Gently send everything back down. Soles of the feet are on the mat. Shoulders nice and tucked underneath. Long neck. And let's lift the right leg up to the sky. Heel really reaching for heaven for a nice hamstring stretch on this right side. Just wherever your hands feel like they want to be, whether it's on the back of the thigh or if they want to crawl up that leg to find a little bit more of a stretch, that's okay too. You want to roll the ankle and point and flex the foot just to have a little bit of something extra. Just wherever your hands are, try and keep those shoulders on the mat as much as possible. This is still the beginning of our practice, so we're just staying nice and gentle. Awesome. Let's take that right ankle, cross it over the left thigh, and then bring that left thigh towards the chest for a supine pigeon. If you want to, you can take that right arm and gently press that right thigh away, or just have both hands on the back of the left thigh or shin. Just however you want to play around with this stretch so that you are really opening up that right hip. You want to keep the left sole of the sole of the left foot on the mat, just right here, just hanging out here, gently pressing on that right thigh. That's okay too. Awesome. Bring the sole of that left foot back to the mat. And then we're just going to let everything gently fall over to the left side, keeping both shoulders nice and grounded. Place your hands wherever you feel like you want to put them. If you want to have them really far in this beautiful like T shape, you're more than welcome to. Or if you want to take your right hand out to the right, take your gaze there, you're more than welcome to do so. Awesome. Let's gently bring everything back up. Unravel. And take it to the other side. So left heel up to heaven, grabbing the back of the thigh. If you want that hand to kind of slide its way up to deepen this posture, you're more than welcome to. Just really try and keep those shoulders on the ground as much as possible. Point and flex through the foot if you'd like. Just waking things up. That's what you feel like, that little bit of movement. I know I have days where I feel like I'm a bit more fidgety than others. Awesome. Let's cross the left foot over the right thigh. You may choose to stay here. Just gently press on the inside of that left thigh to open up the hip. Or if you want to come into this supine pigeon, you're more than welcome to do so as well. It's still the beginning, so if you want to keep this really gentle, you can. The point is just to be as mindful in these movements as possible. When I say mindful, just really paying attention to what your body's doing in a posture, where every little square inch of your body is, where it is spatially, where it is and how it's feeling today, whether your hips are tight. Maybe send a little bit more energy to that area and allow it to let go, release. Awesome. Bring everything back down, soles of the feet on the mat. Run through one round of bridge. So both hands either side of the hips. Feet about hip width apart. Drive through the feet as we lift the hips up. Imagine there's a block, or you may place a block between the thighs, really squeezing them together at the top. Hanging out here, really engaging that whole posterior chain or low back, glutes, and hamstrings. So everything is nice and activated, not overstraining or stressing, just really activated. Relax your shoulders and neck. Try not to hold any tension there. This is all from that posterior chain. Drive through the feet to find a little bit more height. Stay for the inhale, really squeezing everything towards the midline. Exhale, gently roll down slowly, slowly, slowly. One vertebrae at a time. Your tailbone should be the last thing to touch. Awesome. Tailbone finally touches down. Hug the knees into the chest, just like we did at the beginning. Rock side to side, just to kind of release that low back. Give yourself a little self-massage with the low back. You want to do a couple of knee circles, that's okay too. Just massage it out a little. And then however you want to get there, we will meet on our hands and knees. So whether you want to rock up or roll to one side, we'll meet in our hands and knees, or on our hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Nice and strong. We're just going to do some spinal rolls, keeping it a bit different than our usual cat and cow that we do in Kelly Hill Yoga. Or if you've never done cat and cow, you're more than welcome to watch me in this kind of fun modified version of it. So it's okay if you want to watch me through the first round. So knees are under hips. Let's take the big toes, kind of bring them together as we take the knees a little bit wider than hip width. This nice, strong, wide-kneed tabletop. Take a deep inhale. Really stay strong in your midsection. Exhale. Shift the hips back to come into this wide leg child's pose. Inhale, bend through the elbows. Pull and drag the chest as low to the ground as possible to rise up into cow. So the belly button is pulled towards the earth. Chin is lifted up. Really nice curved spine, everything heavy towards the earth. Exhale, round through the spine. Pull that belly button and chest up towards the sky as much as possible. Round. Shift the hips back. Child's pose. Now that we've done this for one solid cycle, we will continue to do so, just kind of rolling up. Exhale, moving with the breath. Shifting through a few rounds on your own, waking everything up. Exhale, shift back. Inhale, pull yourself forward. Exhale, roll back on your own pace. Just try and keep it mindful. Don't rush through anything. Really feel how each joint, muscle, ligament, tendon is feeling in all of this. Last round. Inhale to drop the belly. Exhale, roll through. Come back to sit on the hips. And we will stay in child's pose. Arms really reach out in front of us. If you can't quite get the forehead to the mat, if you're feeling a little tight or if it's just not comfortable to get there, you're more than welcome to grab a block and set your forehead on it. Or if you're able, just gently rest the forehead on the mat for a moment. We will hang out here in this awesome child's pose or wide leg child's pose for a few moments, just a few rounds of breath to reset ourselves here. If you feel a tiny little twinge, or if your low back is talking to you, just gently bring those knees in a bit, close that space a bit, should release any little pinch you might feel in the low back. Let's take a nice deep inhale. And when we breathe it deep, let's breathe all the way down to that low back. Breathe all the way down the spine, into the pelvis. Exhale, release. And you'll almost feel your pelvis melt to the earth with that release. So deep inhale. Pull that positive energy there. Exhale, release. Now we're just going to slowly walk the hands. If you want to come up on the fingertips a little bit, you can. Let's just slowly walk the hands over to the left until you just feel this awesome stretch on the right side body. Not going too far. Take a deep inhale to expand that right side of your body. Feel the amazing stretch just having those full lungs can give you. Exhale, release. Gently walk the hands back to center. And we'll take it to the other side. So walk the hands over to the right. Really great stretch on the left side body. Deep inhale to expand. Exhale, release. Let's come back to center. One cycle of breath to recenter, refocus. Beautiful. Rise back up to that tabletop. Hands back under the shoulders. Bring those knees back in. Tuck the toes, shift the hips up and back. Our first downward dog. So let's just start this downward dog out with our feet nice and wide in this first downward dog. Just kind of release or show some love to the back of our legs with a nice wide leg downward dog. Generous bend in the knees. And as we bend the knees, pull the hips up towards the back of your space. Nice deep inhale, ground through the thumb and index finger, relax the neck. If you want to walk it out by straightening one leg, kind of bend in the other knee to wake up the back of those legs, you're more than welcome to do so. Or if you want to kind of shift from side to side, just keep this as organic as possible. When I say organic, just whatever feels great to you. Awesome. You're more than welcome to stay in this wide leg child's pose. Or if you want to bring the feet in a bit, you can. But I highly recommend this wide leg. Deep inhale, bend the knees. Really deep bend. And take the hands and we'll walk the hands back to meet the feet. So feet are still nice and wide. We're in this awesome forward fold. Generous bend in the knees. Once again, waking up that posterior chain or that low back glutes and hamstrings. Head is heavy. You can choose to grab both elbows if you like, kind of rock from side to side. It's whatever you want to do. If you want to find stillness as well, you're more than welcome to. Awesome. Let's come down, place both hands on the mat as we start to shift the hips down. As we do so, we've got a nice generous bend. Let's take those toes and turn them out to about 45 degrees. Now, every body is different. So when you come down into Malasana or this garland pose with these nice low hips, if you want to keep your feet on the mat as much as possible, but play around. If you need to have them your feet close together or wide apart, everybody is different. Everyone's hips are different. We are coming into this beautiful Malasana or garland pose. Elbows, if you can't get them on the inside of the knees, really pressing them outward to open up the hips, or if you're on the hands, that's okay too. If you're not all the way down and up on your toes, that's okay. And I'll show you really quick. If you are up on your toes, take your mats, roll it up just a bit, and try and come into the posture then. Sometimes just having that little bit of changing the angle in your joints allows maybe those tight tendons or ligaments to have a little bit of reprieve, and you can find depth in a posture. But we're just going to hang out here for a few rounds of breath. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, release. Awesome. Let's take those hands back down on the mat. Shift the hips back and up. Reface those toes. to the front of your space, and we'll walk back out with the hands to downward dog. Hanging out in this downward dog. Beautiful. Now we're going to shift to plank. So shift forward into this plank. You can choose to stay high in this nice, beautiful upward push-up, really pressing the earth away from you. Fingers spread well, strong in your shoulder girdle, not too high up with the hips or too low. Nice and strong, long from the crown of the head all the way through the tailbone. If you're on your knees, that's okay too. But we are going to take a deep inhale, push the earth away from us. Exhale, lower that right knee down. If you already had it lowered, that's okay too. Transition all your weight over to the right side of your body, so into the right hand, as we kind of kickstand that right leg out for a modified side plank on this right side. Hanging out here. If you want to take it up a notch, you're more than welcome to lift that left leg, really squeezing the glute. One round of breath. Exhale, gently lower it back down. Transition everything back to that plank. If you were on your knees, that's okay. Transitioning back to plank. Shift the hips up and back, downward dog. Awesome. Let's take it to the other side. So inhale, shift the hips up and back. Exhale, come forward. Transition to plank. Inhale, press the earth away from you, really strong in your shoulder girdle. Exhale, lower that left knee down. Kickstand it out. Hopefully you don't have anything in the way like I do. Kickstand that leg out as we transition into this modified side plank up on this left side. Try and have your shoulder over your elbow and wrist as much as possible, really stacking those joints. If you want to take it up a notch, you're more than welcome to lift that right leg, really engaging the glute. Nice and strong. Stay for the inhale. Exhale, gently bring everything back down. If we're on your knees for this plank, that's okay. Back to plank, nice and strong. Exhale, shift those hips up and back. Beautiful. And on our next inhale, shift the hips up and back. Exhale, come forward to plank. Really nice and strong. Inhale, press the earth away. Exhale, bend the elbows, keep them really close to the torso as you slowly lower all the way down. Cactus arms out to the side. Just wake up the back a little bit. Get some movement that we don't necessarily get in our day. We will inhale, lift the chest and head. Exhale, slowly lower down. So inhale, lift everything up. Slowly lower down. If you feel like this is pinching your low back when you rise up, try and activate your glutes a little bit to relieve some of that tension. So activate the glutes a bit. Then inhale to rise. Last one, hanging out here for just a moment. Deep inhale, maybe find a little bit more height. Exhale. Slowly lower everything back down. And we will rise up, shift the hips up and back into child's pose. So let's just kind of hang out, recenter ourselves just a bit. If there's anything knocking at the door, don't answer it. Try and stay detached from it. Keep your energy as far in as possible. Let's take a nice deep inhale. Really breathe into that low back. Exhale, release that breath all the way. Let it shoot out all the way out the tips of your fingers. I know that sounds silly. That's not where our exhale happens, but just really think about the energy leaving out through the fingertips with the breath. Awesome. Let's come back up to tabletop. Shift the hips up and back to downward dog. Now let's take a nice deep inhale as we lift the right leg up. Exhale, step that foot or walk it up however you need to get there in a low lunge. So gently lower that back knee, hanging out in this low lunge. Left hand stays on the mat as we reach up with the right for a low lunge with a twist. Really think about having the hips pulled towards the earth. And now let's drive through this front leg to lift up into this low lunge with a twist. Just waking the spine up. Beautiful. Inhale, both arms come up and overhead. Really think about pulling your left hip forward as your right hip comes back, nice and strong. Exhale, bring both hands back down to the mat. Step that right foot back. However you need to get there, we will meet back in downward dog. Taking it to the other side. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, gently step up between the hands. Set your hips nice and low as you slowly lower that back knee into this low lunge. If it feels a little bit more stable to keep those back toes tucked, you're more than welcome to do so. But really think about having the hips pulled forward. Right hand stays on the mat, left hand reaches up. Keeping those hips low, try not to shift back as we come into this twist. Really keeping those hips pulled forward. Drive through that left foot, keeping the arms just how they are to rise up into this low lunge with a twist. So left arm really reaching to the back of your space, right arm reaches forward, nice and strong in your midsection. And take a deep inhale, reach both arms up and overhead, coming out of that twist nice and slow. Really think about pulling the right hip forward. The left hip comes back, squaring the hips as much as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect. And let's just really open up the front side of that right hip, just like we did on the left side. Exhale, bring everything back down and tuck those back toes or whatever you need to do in order to transition back to downward dog. Awesome. We are going to take a deep inhale in this last moment in this downward dog. Exhale, come gently down onto both knees and come into a seated position. So, as we come to sit down, let's have the right foot nice and tucked close to the pelvis as we extend the left leg out. Take our hips and let's just face that left foot like we're going to take it on head on if we're going to walk towards it. Everything facing that left foot. Little micro bend in the left knee. Inhale, both arms come up and overhead. Exhale, reach forward, hinging just at the hips. So trying to keep all of this forward motion from just the hips. So hinging at the hips. And as soon as you feel like you're going to start rounding through the spine and making this kind of ugly and overcompensating for maybe some tightness in your hamstring, just as soon as you feel like your body says, stop, then bring those hands down to the mat, trying to keep a long spine here, pulling your chest towards that left foot. Resist the urge to reach for that left foot, or unless you're just a superstar, and kind of pull yourself into it. Really keeping this passive. When I say passive, that's just letting gravity do the work for us instead of us straining to come into a posture. Sometimes, because when we strain and stress, our body has a negative reaction to that. So we might push ourselves past that edge, that moment where I said our body was like, oh, that's enough. That's pretty much your edge. And when you go past it, you have a negative response, and you won't have as much growth in your flexibility and mobility as you think you would if you just sat here and forced things to happen. Not to get too far into anatomy and physiology, because sometimes I can geek out a little bit too much in that, so my apologies. Beautiful. Let's gently rise back up to center. We're just going to have a fun little counter movement. So place the right hand just behind your right hip. Sweep the left arm up and overhead and behind you as you lift the hips up into this baby wild thing, or baby little back bend. Exhale, sweep everything back down. And we'll transition to the other side. So left foot comes in nice and close to the pelvis. Right foot's going to extend out. Just shimmy or shake however you need to, just to kind of get your sit bones really grounded. Let's face that right foot. Chest nice and proud. Little micro bend in this right knee. Inhale as I knock the blocks. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, pull your chest towards that right foot, hinging at the hips. As soon as you feel like your body is resisting, then you gently bring the arms down to your sides, or to either side of that right leg. Once again, being mindful of that edge, and try to resist the urge to grab onto something to crank and pull you into this posture. Resist that urge. Just like you're resisting the urge to take those thoughts outside of this space. We are headed downstream in this practice. I mentioned earlier I did do an hour-long practice with my MOPS group earlier this week. And I just thought it would be nice when I did this video to kind of shorten and condense it a bit, because I know, at least in my house, even when I film this stuff, I literally have to tell my husband to take my little one to leave the house completely, which I'm very grateful for, but it's just nice and very hard, especially in all these crazy times, to devote a full hour of quiet to yourself. So I thought it'd be great to condense that little practice we did the other evening so you can be as present as possible for as long as possible in this practice. Let's gently rise back up, not moving too slow, or sorry, not moving too fast. We don't want to jerk. Number one, we don't want to create a head rush. And two, we don't want to kind of yank things back when we just spent so much time extending. Let's do that fun little baby wild thing again. So place the left hand just kitty corner to that left hip. Inhale, sweep that right arm up and overhead behind you as you lift the hips up. Little baby wild thing. Exhale, sweep it back around. Awesome, coming back to where we started. And now let's come to lay on our back, and we will grab pillows that I talked about earlier. It's totally okay. If you want to, I will give you a couple options. If you only have one pillow, if you want to do very similar to what we did at the beginning, you're more than welcome to. But let's grab both pillows if you have them. we're going to come into this reclined butterfly. So we'll bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall to the side, and then come to lay down on your back, or if you want to lay down and then let the knees fall to the side, just however you want to get there. If you want to play around to where your pillows are, just feel as supported as possible in this pose. It's about opening ourselves in this practice, really keeping those hips nice and open, ready to receive all this beautiful energy we just built up in this space. Let's rest either one hand over the belly, one hand over the heart, or if you want to have them at your sides, just find a natural place for them. I like to have my hands just at that crease in your hips, almost telling them it's okay to release, not hold any tension there. Just feel as supported as you can with these pillows. Start to find your breath just like we did at the beginning of this practice. Keeping it as simple as possible. If you're having trouble finding some rest and restoration in this pose, you're more than welcome to just do good old-fashioned Shavasana or corpse pose. And that's just laying down with both legs extended. Let your shoulders melt into the earth. In fact, send some energy there and tell them with your mind to relax. Send some energy to those hips, allow them to really open, and your legs get super heavy onto the pillows. It's also okay if you don't have any pillows and you want to use some blocks to support the legs. Just find your breath. Let's take a nice deep inhale. Breathe as deep as possible. And hold. Hold that breath. In fact, let's take another little tiny sip of air. And then exhale. Don't let all that air whoosh out. Exhale with control until every last drop leaves your lungs. Show some grace and gratitude for this time you spent with yourself. Notice how you feel now at the end of this short little practice as opposed to the beginning. Hopefully those feelings of guilt, asking for time for yourself, or asking just for some space for yourself, hopefully that feeling of guilt is gone. You now have this feeling of self-care, self-love after spending these few moments with yourself. Remember this feeling, especially when next time you're having a hard time, knowing that you need to kind of step away, out of that role that might be overwhelming you, whether it's motherhood or being a wife or son, brother, just whatever you feel like is pulling you too much and you need to pull yourself inward. Remember this feeling. How accomplished you feel, how present you feel. and know you want to get back to this place. So have that courage to ask to step away, to reset, refocus. You're more than welcome to hang out in this super comfy, cozy place that we are right now. Especially if it's still quiet in your house or your space. Nobody's come and asked for you yet. So maybe just take advantage of that. And also know that it's okay. It's okay to be here with yourself. If you would like, gently kind of wake yourself back up. Also totally okay to stay where you were. Slowly bring the legs back together with the help of your hands. And we will come up to however you need to get there, just ever so slowly. However you need to get there, come up into a seated position. If you're still hanging out in that comfy, cozy place, that's okay too. But we will meet in this beautiful, easy pose. Head over heart, heart over pelvis, nice and tall up through the crown of the spine, hands at our heart. Close the eyes. Take one last moment to be as present as possible before you let the world reemerge, or before you reemerge in the world. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I really hope that some of you other MOPS mamas were able to participate. If you're not a MOPS mama, that's okay too. I just really thought this practice was something I had to share with the rest of the world, even though it's a condensed version, just for some of you who may not have that full time to devote to yourself. If that schedule is too much, sometimes just a little bit of short time can be a great way to reset. So thank you so much for practicing with me today, and please, please, please hit that like button if you did like this little bit more niche practice for, like, in particular the group's MOPS, Moms of Preschoolers, is what I originally wrote the sequence for. So if you did love it, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to Kelly Hill Yoga. I do post no videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays to my channel, so please, please, please hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when the next one posts. Thank you, thank you, thank you for practicing with me today. I will see you all on our next round. As always, I love you.